Move them.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? All right. Okay, we don't have any appointments. Is Kelly on?
Mr. Chair, Kelly Anderson shot me a message earlier saying that she wasn't going to be able to attend, but she had sent you an email with.
And okay, so is there any questions on real properties? Any questions about her? I can't answer them, but we can make sure that we get them answered for you.
I have a question for Kelly. Is she here?
No, he did. Mr. Palermo just said that she had to dodge out, but we can get that question answered for you.
Okay. She has on here that she's updating the 911 addresses. On the Summerhill still messed up. There's people down there that the sheriff shows up and it's not even the right place.
Right.
Different streets. I mean, I spoke to the clerk. I think I spoke to Jim a couple of times. We've been fighting this for a couple of years now, and we're still have made no progress.
Okay.
The town clerk is having a problem contacting the people because it's the wrong
address.
It comes up on the tax bill.
Oh, wow.
And the fire department shows up at the wrong place.
Right. Okay.
So it needs to be.
So we'll follow through with that. Mr. Lattimore?
Mr. Chairman, we've been getting a lot of interest in solar projects in the county and of, pretty big farms.
Uh-huh.
The governor is, under his revision of the grid and everything. I think the IDA is looking at one now for tax exemption or some kind of tax inclusion. And I'm just wondering how Kelly is going to look at those utilities, whether it's cable, whether it's solar. We should know what we're taxing and what we're giving away with the pilot.
Tax incentives?
With the pilot.
Gotcha.
And I'd like to have a little more upgrade in that. I know that the one solar farm that's going up north, it's a large farm. You don't have to have a town approval. And I think it's, we should be able to look at those things and make sure that, environmentally the runoff is being covered from the rainwaters and what have you. But, and I think there was going to be some appointments from the chair to a separate board. Chris, do you know anything about that?
Not yet.
But I'd like to know, number one, how we're going to tax those. Hopefully it's going to be a good base.
And there's a big one going on in the front.
Well, somebody's making money. Florida Light and Power is not a small organization. And I know that, we make money off the poles that NICEAG has or that the telephone company has. We get a franchise tax.
Okay.
So I'd like to get a little more information on that from Cali as to how we're going to handle this, because it's not just that farm. There's two other ones down south.
Right.
And there's a couple other ones that are going up.
Right. County House Road too.
Yeah, but
So I'm hearing two different things from you, Mr. Lattimore. I'm hearing I can shoot an email for Charlie's request out to Kelly, and also yours about the taxation of the solar. But also the second question is for the chair, I believe, with regard to appointments to
that
boards.
supposedly new board. There's a new advisory board or some kind of board that's going to oversee that for the industrial development agency. Do you know anything about that, Ben?
Yeah, we're, from what I'm hearing from the IDA, we're not gonna be losing any tax dollars, so it's gonna be taxed at, we're basically gonna pay the tax that the property is currently paying. So it's not gonna increase or decrease the tax base. So that's kind of what I'm hearing right now, but that could change. And they also have to, any exemptions, from what I'm hearing, either the school districts, the villages, or the towns, hopefully they're going to request the IDA to negotiate those. If they don't, they could end up being completely tax exempt.
Which, I mean, if it was NICEAG or NIMO or one of the normal utilities, they would be paying taxes on it.
Correct, but they are going to. We should not be losing tax dollars from those installations. We're not going to gain tax dollars out of it.
Well, is there a franchise tax?
We're just talking, all I've been hearing about it is just a regular normal property tax.
And is there gonna be a separate board appointed by our chairwoman
I haven't heard anything like that.
to oversee it?
From what I've heard at IDA is that we're asking the towns and the school districts and villages to put them through the IDA, so there's one entity that's dealing with all of it. Because if you start having 2 or 3 towns do it, and then they're doing things differently, it could mess things up across the county.
Okay, very good. So I'll shoot an email, try to get some answers from Kelly, and also talk to the chair. It sounds like Mr. Vitale got some answers for you. All right?
Yeah.
Anything else, you just give me a ring, okay?
Chris, just a comment on that too.
Sure.
When I was on the data board, 2 types of projects were coming up, and Sita and Tracy Perrier became well versed in these types of projects, so maybe even an outreach to them.
To CETA?
Yeah,
Okay.
because they've handled those projects for the IDAs, so she may be able to shed some more light on the structure and how that works.
Gotcha.
Tracy would have a much better handle on it than me.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Everybody good with real property? All right. Mr. Orman, whom is fit as a fiddle according to the temperature.
Yes, sir. You've got my report. Payroll worked out, there was an unemployment scam. They worked that out with the state labor department, and I think there was a couple people affected. They ironed everything out. Tax collection, you should know, is keeping pace despite the public not being in, and we're hoping this may show the public that they can actually mail or use our drop box. Let me know. The audit is moving forward, and Mary Beth and her staff are keeping them current. Things actually look pretty good there. One thing not in the report, Mary Beth and 2 of our staff are actually doing the training that started yesterday for the Munis upgrade for all our financial software. That's landed on their desk, and we're moving forward as of yesterday with that. I will keep you advised of that, but rest assured it's in good hands. Any questions?
Any questions for the treasurer? Mr. Lattimore?
Jim, on sales tax, are we up, down, even, a little bit low? Where are we with our tax, with our report on sales tax?
Actually, on sales tax,
Yeah,
yeah, we are actually only, I want to say 1.5% or 1.6 down for the year, which actually is pretty good, considering all the dire forecasts that we had. So I personally am hopeful on that front. I am less optimistic on reimbursements in New York State. That's, to me, a bigger issue. So we'll keep monitoring it. I'll let you know, but that's my personal opinion.
and in regards to the audit, are all subsections of government reporting to you?
Yes. They will, well, anything that concerns the county, yes. We're in the middle of it right now. So I will certainly keep you advised, but they were very pleased with the preparation work we did, so I really don't see any obstacles, but I'll let you know.
All right, any other questions for the treasurer? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. All right,
You too. Thank you.
thanks. Ms. Leopold with Human Resources.
So you've got our report of the transactions we've continued to do throughout this COVID situation. We've also been working on the safety plan, which was actually implemented last Wednesday, taking temperature checks at all locations. Started here at the county office building and then to the offsite buildings on Thursday and Friday. And we got to be distributed out and we're working with Paul's group on an electronic questionnaire, because they're going to take a questionnaire. So we'll be going electronic fairly soon as we work out a few glitches with that. We have the hiring committee, but I'm not sure if we're scheduled for August at this point in time. We've been contacting everybody who's still left on furlough regarding them coming back, making sure that they're not traveling to the travel advisory locations over the next 2.5 weeks, and then having to be quarantined when they back, as well as sending them a packet on the safety guidelines, as well as follow-up letter about the return from furlough. We've already put out the first set of scheduled dates for the annual mandatory training that's going to be in August. We'll have some more for September. We're just working that out with our third-party group. And most of my staffers continue to work from home on a rotating basis coming into the office. So we're always at 50% capacity or less.
Very good.
That's all I got.
Mr. Lattimore.
Is the union working with you in order to make the building safe for the employees coming back, or we?
We already had their checklist back in May that we've been utilizing before we completed our safety plan and adding the temperature piece. So we were already doing that. The walkthroughs were already done with safety measures in place for social distancing. We've got cleaning logs for the cleaning crews now. We've met with both companies that are doing the cleaning to make sure they're doing full cleaning in all common areas. So all those things have been approved by the union, and they haven't had any problems with their safety plans so far.
Mr. Ripley.
The furlough personnel, huh? They all come back, or just a portion of them, or
All of them are coming back
all of them are coming?
as of August 3rd.
And what date is that?
August 3rd.
August.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
Okay, Ways and Means has 3 resolutions. We're gonna take them one at a time because it's fun to string things out. So we'll start with WM1, which is appointing Kelly King as the Director of Cayuga County Employment and Training Department. Motion and a second. Any discussion on WM1? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, WM2 is to adopt a local law authorizing the purchase and service contracts to be awarded on the basis of best value pursuant to New York's general municipal law and finance law.
This Batman, I'll move it.
Motion by Batman, second by Ripley. Mr. Lattimore for discussion.
Chris, in regards to our purchasing, or this law changes our purchasing procedure. So if you went out to bid, it's not, let's say that the low bidder, we always had it that he had to be qualified, he had to produce the documents. If it was construction, he had to produce the, the bonds and everything. How does this change our procedure from before?
Well, it doesn't necessarily change it. So that procedure that you just described is still going to continue. right? So when there is a bid for a service or product that we think we want to take the best value approach, we're going to ascertain, I'd say we purchasing, describe what basis that bid will be evaluated on. Some examples might be warranty for equipment, who's got the better warranty, even if the price is slightly higher, if the warranty is longer or extended number of hours or miles, looking at those things in total might, result in you purchasing something that's for a better value. But all those decisions would be made prior to the bid going out. Like warranty, for example, that'll be identified in the bid.
And can we have in there buy local?
Define local, so New York State has their own procurement policies that we're encouraged to use, in fact. But when they say local, they mean, more or less statewide. There's minority women-owned business enterprises that we're allowed to use. But if you wanted to say just buy in Auburn,
Cayuga County?
yeah, that's a tough one. Define what businesses are in Cayuga County, which ones are. You don't want to exclude. You don't want to pay more to be right here. Kind of get into a gray area. I'd have a hard time identifying what the differential could be to go local. Starts to look.
Let's say for the sewer line that went in next to the courthouse, we used the city's emergency bids, I think, in order to put that contractor in. Is there a limit on, let's say, emergency work, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000? Is there any cutoffs?
We have an emergency resolution procedure, which does have some thresholds in it. And our purchasing policy also has it, and I couldn't tell you what they are right off the top of my head. But
Is it 10 grand?
rings a bell, but I wouldn't. I know the chair has the ability. I want to say that's even a $500 threshold to enact an emergency resolution on her own. $500, I think, and then beyond that, the 5 members.
So we can hitchhike off of other contracts that are Onondagas or state bid.
Yeah, that's different than an emergency, but yeah, you can.
No, but I mean, under this provision, it doesn't exclude us from using it.
Right. Without this, it might. Right. So if Onondaga County issued bid specs to be based on best value, and they selected their preferred vendor based on that best value criteria, without passing this local law, you would not be allowed back on that bid because we haven't enacted the best value purchasing.
I think Mr. Foley just informed me that Don Carr wants to speak, and he may be able to illuminate some of that for you. Proceed, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Tim, to clarify your point on emergency bids, now emergency is anything that, could affect the safety or well-being of people. Like the sewer next door was a great example. You can't have sewer spewing all over. So when it comes to a true emergency like that, as defined by New York State, we could just go select a vendor and have the work done right away, whether that's $500 or $50,000. As long as it falls under a true emergency, the cost itself really isn't taken into consideration. Now, granted, if we were going to spend, obviously everyone in this well, not in this room, in the virtual room and in the room you're sitting in would know, if it was something large like the sewer. Does that answer your question on that, Tim?
Yeah, I know at one time we had a sewer break at the jail, which last thing we need to do is have somebody infected in the jail that's under our care, custody, and control. So we did an emergency work there on that sewer.
All right. Any further discussion on W1?
Can Whitman speak?
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. Palermo, I'm trying to remember. Can't we reject any bid as long as we have a reason? So if lowest bid was 30% of the cost of the next bid, obviously there's something wrong with it and we could reject it. Or if we felt the next bid was going to be a better value for our money, could we not reject the lowest bidder?
You can reject lowest bidders, but not for any reason. Right, it's lowest responsible bidder. So if there's some determination that a particular bidder wasn't responsible, or, you know, the material list wasn't up to the standards it should have been, you know, you can certainly reject those, but not just for any reason.
So not due to, we couldn't use value as the reason?
We will after this law passes.
I know, I just wondered if this law was actually necessary or not, or if we were already pretty much covered to do what we're saying here.
Right, and conversely, you couldn't, yeah, I mean, it's the other side of the same coin, right? You can't choose a vendor because their bid provides the county better value. It's straight dollars with the proviso that they're a responsible bidder. That's it. That's what we're limited to today.
But this
Okay.
law would amend it to.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion on WM2? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, WM3 is fixing date and notice of public hearing on a local law providing for salary increases for certain county officers elected for a fixed term during their term.
Whitman will move it.
Second.
Batman will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on WM3.
So try to briefly discuss this, or?
I don't know. If you want to proceed.
No, I mean, is there, something about this that it's just a local law to be able to move to a public hearing, right?
Indeed. Yep. So, any further discussion on WM3? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. All right, Mr. Ripley.
Yes, Health and Human Services have and asked for, we had 7 resolutions, 1 tabled, 83 stated by the committee for further information, looking at some discussion. So I would like to offer HH 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
I'll move on.
All right, motion by Mr. Foley. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vitale. Any further discussion on the bundle? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Chairman Foley with Government Operations.
Okay. Mr. Chair, before we move on to Mr. Foley, I did bring up to Elaine, our chairwoman, that law that was passed in Rhode Island where if the governor shuts down services again because of pandemic, that Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous would be essential. As I've mentioned, I know more people who have died from overdoses during this pandemic than COVID people.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have us pass that as a body and send it up to the governor so that,
Yeah.
he's gonna cut a lot of money out of the rehab money in this budget. So for $1, somebody can get therapy in an AA meeting or an NA. So
I think that's a valid point. Yeah, we would do that as at the full lens though. So I think we'd be looking, I would certainly support
I'd
that.
like to have somebody in the body.
Yeah, we would have to look at some, drafting that legislature.
Would you like me to prepare a resolution, Mr. Lattimore?
I mean, it was very short what Rhode Island has said, and I think that doesn't need any more, but we should, mental health, physical health, those meetings are important to people in rehabilitation, and if he's gonna cut the budget, we're gonna feel the effects in our our health department, and we're gonna lose more kids.
Thank you, Mr. Lattimore. I think that's a great idea, so thank you too.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair. Okay, shake your head if you can hear me. I think you're frozen, this Batman. Did we approve HH7?
Yes.
Yes, we did them as a bundle.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. All right, so, good to go?
Good to go. Mr. Chairman, Government Operations has two resolutions for them as a bundle, unless anyone wants one singled out.
All right, so anyone want to move them as a bundle? Motion by Mr. Ripley. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think that was Mr. Batman. Any discussion on the bundle as moved?
It was, yeah.
Just some clarification that the president of the college, Dr. Durant, will be at our full legislative meeting to talk more about the GO2 and GO1, just to present what they are. And the college budget hasn't increased their request this year for any funds from the county. That's going to be the main topic, but it should be noted here.
Okay,
There was no salary increases, it's just,
right, and as I understand the overall budget, the request from us is flat as well. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
I,
Carried. Mr. with planning.
Yes, planning has one resolution, and that's to authorize the expenditure, to approve the bid and authorize the expenditure to complete the project in Moscow Flats. It's revised because the numbers were added after the planning meeting. So I would move it.
second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, Mr. Lattimore?
This particular project, Alaska Flats, I mean, this should have been done years ago, and we should also put it on other inlets into the lake. Vanessa Brook, Sucker Brook, should have some kind of wetland protection buffers to protect the lake.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Carried. All right, Mr. Whitman with Public Works.
Mr. Chair, can we move the screen down so I can see the Public Works agendas or resolutions? Public Works, I have 6 resolutions, I believe.
Yep.
I can't see them.
You got 6.
Okay, I would offer them as a bundle unless anyone would like one singled out.
Six need to be singled out.
I'm sorry?
I think 6 need to be singled out.
So, yeah, 6 with 2/3. I'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a bundle.
All right, if you want to separate, but that's,
No, that's fine.
because they only need to be separated in, at the full, it only needs to be 2/3 in the full ledge.
Right.
So if you're okay with it, Mr. Vitale?
Yep.
All right, so Chairman Whitman, if you want to just offer it as a bundle, we can go that route.
I will do that unless anyone objects.
All right. Okay,
I'll
so we have a
second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion on the bundle for Public Works? Okay, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun on that one. Did you get that? All right. Sorry about that. That's a good segue to Mr. Putcher, who is Judicial and Public Safety.
Okay, we've got 4 resolutions. I'd like to do 1 through 4 as a bundle.
I'll move them.
second.
All right, motion and a second on JP 1 through 4 is a bundle. Any discussion on the resolutions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Take my time this time.
And we have JP6. It's filling a cause of a retirement. I think everybody's read the thing, so any questions? Otherwise, I move it.
Okay, got a motion. Is there a second on JP6? Second by Mr. Ripley. Further discussion on the fire examiner position? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, this is Batman. Chris, can you hear me?
I got you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I had a question, but I'll get it. It's passed. I'll get it later. I'll get my question later. I just didn't understand what the position was. And I can find
Yeah,
it out.
now's the time. So,
Mr. Bettman?
Well, my question is, this is a position, a county position that inspects fire equipment, it would appear. And I guess I've got a couple of questions. One is that I was unaware of this, which doesn't mean anything, except I was unaware of it. But I was surprised this is a county responsibility. And I'm curious what the inspection is. I'm just wondering what the inspection is, what we do in inspection.
you're cutting out on us, Keith.
Say that again. Keith.
Let's try again.
What do we inspect? I mean, what's the part? I know it's the trucks, but is it like a vehicular inspection or what?
Did you catch that, Mr. Batman? This person inspects the tankers. I can see lips moving.
Yeah, no, I understand what is inspected in terms of the vehicle, like our cars. Is it the tires, brakes? What is inspected?
Legislator Batman, this is Amy from the EMO. If I could chime in here.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, so it's the
Yes, please.
It's pumper vehicles. So this position, this person that in this position, what he does is this is just a county resource set up for our fire departments throughout the county to have their pumper trucks or tanker trucks tested. And what he tests is the water flow coming out of those vehicles to ensure that the water and the truck, the tanker piece, it's not brakes, it's not anything that has to do with the rest of the vehicle. It's just to inspect to make sure that the water flow coming out of those trucks is sufficient to put out the fires.
Okay. And what is the budget for this? I noticed that it's a per truck amount, but what do we expend during an average year?
An average year is $1,400 to $1,500 per year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks. Good.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Amy.
You're welcome.
Sorry about that, Keith, too. I tried to catch up with you today, but I missed you. So.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Mr. Lattimore.
Amy, while you're on the line, we have a lot of trailers and equipment that the feds.
Can we, hold on,
Yeah,
we'll get to that, we'll just, because we want to vote on this, and then I'll
Okay,
get back to that. All right. So, any further discussion before we vote on JP6?
Yeah.
Mr. Ripley?
Where's Batman in his shirt?
Yeah. All right, from the commissioner. So all in favor of JP6?
Aye.
Carried. Mr. Lattimore?
Amy, in regards to our equipment in the field.
Yep.
I mean, some of it was given to us from the feds, and I know it's been in the weather. Is there any plan at all to get that equipment under cover so it doesn't deteriorate?
Yeah, that's one of our top priorities right now. So we are looking at some grant funding that does allow us to lease storage space, but that really is a temporary fix. So we're going through and conducting some research on competitive grants. But there's a lot more research to be done as far as infrastructure build and size and where would we put it, et cetera, et cetera. But we are definitely starting to look at that because we're finding that we're spending a lot of funding replacing tires, replacing tops of trailers, because these trailers are sitting out in the weather. They're sitting on stone driveways, and we don't have housing for them. So they're sitting out all year, and they're getting beat up by the weather. So we are starting to engage that research to try to see if we can find some competitive grants, and pricing and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely a huge concern for us.
All
There's
right,
a lot of funding that goes into building those trailers up, with the amount of money and equipment that is sitting in each one of those trailers. So it's I think it's going to be beneficial to try to find housing for it. It's definitely a priority. So yeah, we're starting to look at that, Legislator Lattimore.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
do we need an executive session?
I wasn't aware of any executive session.
Chris Palermo.
He sent one out, but,
I just,
The invitation for the executive session was only if needed. I didn't want to have to scramble to try to create an event if somebody
Okay.
called for one.
in that case, I move we adjourn.
Second.
oh, sorry, Timmy. Got a motion and a second on the adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I oppose.
You can't oppose
Carried.
anyone in the committee.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
I vote that.
Thank you.
Well, I was just gonna bring up the fact, some people have somewhat confidential addresses and